The Patriots walked out of this one at 11-2 with a 10-game winning streak and the top seed in the AFC still in their hands. Nobody expected a season that was supposed to cap out at 10 wins to look this serious this early, and that is what makes this night feel so much bigger than one more victory. From the first snap, the Patriots played like a group that fully understood what was at stake and refused to relax for even a quarter. Drake May was calm and sharp, hitting throws all over the field for 282 yards and 2 touchdowns without a single turnover, while still showing the legs that make defenses hesitate. The offense did not lean on one star. It spread the ball around to guys like Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs and kept the Giants off balance the whole time. On special teams, Marcus Jones flipped the field again and again, forcing New York to live with short fields and sudden pressure, while the defense swarmed to the ball and turned Jackson Dart into just another quarterback trying to survive 4 quarters against this front. What nobody's really talking about enough is how a team that looked stuck last year now plays with this much belief, discipline, and confidence every single week. You do not win close games in Cincinnati, crush a desperate Giants team on prime time, and walk into a bye week on top of the NFL without something much deeper changing inside the building. This version of the Patriots does not just have talent, it has an edge, a standard, and a new voice leading all of it on the sideline. And to really understand why this run feels different from past hot streaks, you have to look at what Vrabel has built in that locker room and how his coaching has quietly reshaped the entire identity of this team. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Patriots and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. A year ago, the New England Patriots looked like a team stuck in the mud, and now they are sitting near the top of the league while people scramble to figure out what changed so fast. This is not just about new play calls or a different scheme, it is about a full reset in how this team thinks, works, and competes. You can see it when backups step in and look ready, when veterans keep the same energy whether the opponent has 2 wins or 12, and when nobody on the sideline looks surprised that they are on a long winning run. That is not an accident. That is the result of a head coach who walked in and quietly raised the standard for every person in the building. Mike Vrabel has turned the locker room into a place where ego gets pushed to the side and accountability is the only language that matters. Stars like Stephon Diggs talk about how real the camaraderie feels, how guys are throwing extra blocks for each other and celebrating the dirty work as much as the deep shots. Practice habits have shifted, little discipline issues that used to haunt this team have been cleaned up, and you can feel the difference on game days when there are hardly any penalties and almost no mental mistakes in key moments. Vrabel treats the last man on the depth chart with the same respect as the top receiver, and when players feel that, they respond with effort that goes way beyond their contract or their draft slot. That is why names like Christian Ellis, Corey Durden, Kairos Tonga, and Jeremiah Farms Jr. Keep popping up in big spots instead of fading into the background. They are proof that this is not just a star-driven run, it is an entire roster pulling in the same direction, all bought into a clear identity of physical, smart, fearless football. When a team trusts its coach, trusts its preparation, and trusts the guy under center, everything starts to slow down on the field and the confidence becomes obvious to anyone watching. And that is where this story gets even more interesting, because all of this new culture and belief has given Drake May the perfect stage to play the kind of football that puts his name right in the middle of the MVP conversation. The New England Patriots did not just beat the New York Giants, they put Drake May right in the center of the MVP spotlight in front of the whole country. In a season where people kept waiting for him to crack under the pressure, he walked into a national stage, shrugged off the talk from the week before, and played like the most confident quarterback in football. Every throw looked like a message, not just to the Giants, but to voters, fans, and anyone still saying he is only a system guy. This did not feel like a lucky hot night. It felt like the moment where his season took on a different kind of weight. What makes it even more wild is how clean and controlled his performance was compared to his main rival. 1 week after hearing about that pick six against Cincinnati, Drake May answered with 24 completions on 31 attempts, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while Matthew Stafford had a pick six and a strip sack in a loss to Carolina. You look at the full picture and it gets even louder. Drake May is completing over 70% of his passes, already past 3,400 yards, and on pace to clear the 4,000-yard mark with strong efficiency. His numbers look like something you usually see in a third or fourth season, yet he is doing this in just his second year in the league. The same type of early jump we once saw from Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes when their MVP runs took off. The scariest part for opponents is that this was not some stat padding performance built on safe throws and empty yards once the game was over. Drake May attacked tight windows, trusted his protection, used his legs when he had to, and punished every mistake the Giants made in coverage. He stretched the field horizontally and vertically, forced their pass rush to think instead of just chasing, and turned their aggressive front into a liability. If this is the version of Drake May that shows up the rest of the season, defenses are going to have to pick their poison. And to really see how dangerous that choice becomes, you have to look at the way this Patriots offense designed the plan to pick apart a talented New York defense from the first series to the final whistle. The New England Patriots walked into this matchup hearing all week about how dangerous the New York Giants defense was, and then calmly picked it apart like they had the answers before the test even started. This was a unit built around explosive rushers like Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, big bodies inside like Dexter Lawrence and Darius Alexander. On paper, that looks like a nightmare for any quarterback who is missing key blockers. The shocking part is that once the game kicked off, the Patriots made that same defense look hesitant, slow to react, and always a step behind what was coming next. Instead of letting those pass rushers pin their ears back, the Patriots offense attacked the Giants with patient, well-timed answers that kept them off balance all night. Drake May mixed in quick timing throws, layered play action, and smart screens, turning New York's aggression into a weakness instead of a strength. When the Giants tried tight man coverage, he trusted his matchups and spread the ball to Kashon Boutte, Kyle Williams, Hunter Henry, and Stephon Diggs, forcing defenders to cover every blade of grass instead of sitting on checkdowns. The stat line tells you he was sharp, but the real story is how often he made the right choice at the right time, taking what the defense gave him one play, then punishing them deep the next time they guessed wrong. All of that only works if the players up front buy him enough time to read and react, and that is where this performance becomes even more impressive. The Giants arrived with a front that ranked near the top of the league in time to pressure. Yet for most of the night, Brian Burns and Abdul Carter were forced to read screens, chase from the backside, and fight through bodies instead of getting clean shots on the quarterback. The hidden truth of this game is that the Patriots did not just scheme their way around New York, they trusted a patched together offensive line to stand up to that rush, and it did more than just survive. To really see how gutsy this win was, you have to look at how players like Vidarian Lowe and Ben Brown stepped into the spotlight and turned a supposed weakness into one of the biggest strengths of the night. All week long, the talk around the New England Patriots was full of worry about the big men up front, and then the offensive line walked into New York and played like a group that had heard every doubt and quietly decided to shut it all down. With starters on the shelf and new faces on the left side, this looked like the one spot the New York Giants could break the game open. Instead, Drake May spent most of the night standing tall in a clean pocket, taking his time and firing without fear. The line gave up 0 sacks and kept the mistakes to a minimum, turning what was supposed to be a pressure point into a strength that helped turn this into a one-sided scoreline. The most impressive part was how the replacements blended in as if they had been in these roles for months. Vidarian Lowe took over at left tackle, matched up with rushers like Brian Burns, and logged 38 pass blocking snaps without letting his quarterback get dragged down once. Inside, Ben Brown battled big bodies like Dexter Lawrence and Darius Alexander, holding firm in both pass protection and the run game. Garrett Bradbury handled the calls in the middle, Mike Onwenu kept washing defenders out on inside runs, and Morgan Moses locked down the right edge with veteran calm. You did not hear their names often during the broadcast, and that is usually the clearest sign that an offensive line is doing its job at a high level. When a patched-together group can protect like that against a fast front, it changes the way the entire team can attack. Because the pocket stayed steady, the Patriots could lean into deeper routes, let play action fully develop, and avoid living in quick, safe throws. That control at the line of scrimmage also meant longer drives, better field position, and more rest for a defense that was getting ready to chase Jackson Dart all night. And once that defense took the field with a lead, fresh legs, and the crowd behind them, they were free to build a completely different kind of game plan around containing a mobile quarterback who loves to turn broken plays into backbreaking gains. The New England Patriots defense walked into this game knowing that Jackson Dart was not just another pocket passer, but a true dual threat who can flip a drive with one run or one deep ball. New York built a lot of their offense around his legs, using read option looks, quarterback keepers, and rollouts to stress the edges and confuse second-level defenders. That style has given other defenses trouble all season, yet in this matchup, you could see early that the Patriots were ready for every look. Instead of biting on fakes or losing contain, they kept their leverage, closed space fast, and turned a mobile quarterback into a controlled part of the game plan, instead of a nightmare that takes over the night. A big part of that success came from how smartly they mixed their coverages and rush lanes. At times, they rushed with balance and kept a quiet spy near the line, forcing Jackson Dart to stay in the pocket and beat tight coverage with precise throws. When the Giants tried to spread the field, the Patriots trusted corners like Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis to hold up in man, and then rotated into zone right before the snap to bait late reads. The front did not just chase sacks, it squeezed the pocket from all sides, so when Jackson Dart climbed up, there was a body waiting instead of clean grass. That discipline is why so many of his runs turned into short gains or harmless scrambles, instead of backbreaking conversions that usually energize the Giants' sideline. What really stands out is how many different defenders had a hand in shutting all of that down. Edge players set a firm edge, interior linemen clogged the middle, and linebackers closed windows with real urgency, giving Drake May and the offense chance after chance to extend the lead. Names like Elijah Ponder kept showing up near the quarterback, while coverage players trusted the rush enough to sit on routes and challenge every throw. You could feel a defense that was not just fast, but connected, each piece trusting the next one to do its job. That kind of unity does not happen by accident. And it sets the stage for some unsung players in the front seven and on special teams who quietly changed this game and deserve their own spotlight next. The New England Patriots did not lean only on big names to crush the New York Giants, they leaned on tough, hungry defenders who saw this game as a chance to prove they belong. In the middle of the line, Corey Durden played like a man who remembered exactly which team let him go and wanted to answer that choice. Lined up next to Christian Barmore, he shot gaps, clogged running lanes, and kept linemen from climbing to the linebackers, which is the kind of dirty work that never shows up in highlight reels but wins downs over and over. When a player who started the year buried on the depth chart becomes the most active body inside in a revenge matchup. And it tells you how serious this defense is about every single snap. Right behind that wall, Christian Ellis brought a level of energy that changed the feel of the game. He flew sideline to sideline, wrapped up in space, and then delivered that huge shot on Jackson Dart right near the boundary that let everyone know the Patriots were not going to back off contact. The hit was legal, the message was clear. If you stay in the field of play and fight for extra yards, this defense will finish the play with real force. Later, on special teams, Christian Ellis knifed through the blocking, blew up Gunnar Olszewski, and jarred the ball loose for a game-changing fumble, Plays like that come from a mindset that every phase matters, that one tackle on defense and one strike in the kicking game can stack together and break an opponent's will. What ties all of this together is how many different front seven names keep stepping into moments like that without the overall standard dropping. Khyiris Tonga goes out and Corey Durden steps in. Harold Landry battles through his own questions and still finds ways to affect the edge. Jeremiah Farms Jr. gets called up and gives honest snaps when his number is called. It is a constant chain of fresh legs and violent, clean fundamentals that keep this defense dangerous from the first quarter to the last. And when you combine that kind of depth with a special teams unit that tilts the field almost every week, you start to understand why this team feels built for more than just a fun run in December, and why the rest of the AFC should be watching the Patriots very closely right now. Quietly, he's like, the New England Patriots might have the most complete third phase in the conference, and nights like this one in New York are exactly why that matters so much. Andres Borregales, a rookie who was supposed to have growing pains, calmly stacked 4 made field goals out of 5 tries and drilled every extra point, turning stalled drives into steady points instead of missed chances. Bryce Behringer had only 1 punt he would want back, and the rest of the time he flipped the field and forced the Giants to work long grass. Then you have Marcus Jones, who now steps back for a punt and makes entire stadiums hold their breath because one cut can change the scoreboard, or at least hand Drake May a short field that most defenses do not survive. The real power of a unit like this is not just in the box score, it is in how it changes the way other teams think. Opposing coaches now have to decide if they want to risk kicking anywhere near Marcus Jones, knowing his career return average is already pushing record book territory, or aim out of bounds and give up field position on purpose. Coverage units know they cannot relax because Christian Ellis might be flying through a gap looking to knock the ball loose. Ryan, when your kicker is trusted from distance, your punter can bury opponents deep, and your returners are a threat to score on any touch. Every drive for the other team feels a little more stressful. That constant pressure is a huge reason why this Patriots group can win even when the offense or defense has a slow series, because special teams keeps tilting the game back in their favor. All of that feeds directly into what comes next, because the schedule after the bye is not soft and the stakes are massive. At 11 wins and 2 losses, the Patriots are holding the top seed in the AFC, but they still have to deal with the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, New York Jets, and Miami Dolphins in a stretch that will decide who hosts playoff games and who has to travel. 1 win over Buffalo could lock up the division. Another strong primetime showing could push Drake May even deeper into the MVP race, and a stumble could pull teams like Denver or Jacksonville right back into the fight for that first seed. The question hanging over the rest of this season is simple and huge at the same time. Can this version of the Patriots keep stacking clean games in all 3 phases and walk into January still in complete control of the conference priced yet? Or are we about to find out how they handle real adversity with everything on the line?